Welcome to Quiz Time. I'm your quiz master, Sean, and I've got 100 questions about the human body to test your brain and your memory, and otherwise just have fun showing off what you know. So, without wasting any more time, let's start with question number 1. The name funny bone often refers to which bone? Is it the humerus, is it the radius, or is it the ulna? The funny bone. That would refer to the humerus. The thigh bone's medical term is the tibia, or is it fibula, or is it the femur? The thigh bone. Otherwise known as the femur. The smallest bone is found in which part of the body? Will you find it in the hand? Will you find it in the ear? Or will you find it in the foot? The smallest bone. You'll find that in the ear. Oxygenated blood is pumped into the body by which heart chamber? The left atrium, the left ventricle, or the right ventricle? And that would be the task of the left ventricle. The universal donor of blood is A negative, B negative, or O negative. The universal donor. It is O negative. If you have it, go give it. What is the primary function of the lungs? The filtration of blood, the oxygenation of blood, or digestion? The primary function of the lungs is to oxygenate the blood. Not a multiple choice. Which part of the respiratory system is commonly known as the voice box? The voice box, also known as the larynx. What is the main function of the small intestine? The absorption of nutrients, water filtration, or storage of waste? The primary function of the small intestine. Its job is to absorb nutrients. Where is bile produced in the human body? Is it produced in the pancreas, the liver, or the gallbladder? Bile is produced in the liver. The largest section of the human brain is the cerebellum, or is it the frontal lobe, or is it the cerebrum? The largest section of the human brain. That is the cerebrum. The sense of smell is the responsibility of what nerve? The optic nerve, the olfactory nerve, or is it the auditory nerve? The sense of smell is the responsibility of the olfactory nerve. The adult human has how many bones? Do we have 106 bones, 206 bones, or just 156 bones? The adult human has all of 206 bones. Which muscle allows you to raise your arm sideways? Is it the biceps, the deltoid, or the triceps that allows you to raise your arm sideways? Those muscles would be the deltoids. The muscle responsible for pumping blood throughout the body is it the skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, or is it cardiac muscle? Pumping blood throughout the body is the cardiac muscle. Which gland is known as the master gland of the endocrine system? Is it the thyroid? Is it the pituitary? Or is it the adrenal gland? That would be the pituitary gland. Not a multiple choice. What hormone is responsible for increasing blood sugar levels when it's too low? That hormone is glucagon. What is the female reproductive cell called? Is it the egg or ovum? Is it the sperm? Or is it the zygote? The female reproductive cell is called the egg or ovum. Which male reproductive organ produces sperm? Is it the epididymis? Is it the prostate? Or is it the testes? Which of those organs produces sperm? And that would be the testes. What protein gives structural support to skin, hair, and nails? Would that be collagen? Would that be elastin? Or would that be keratin? Structural support to skin, hair, and nails? Keratin. What causes fingerprints, oil glands, sweat glands, or the ridge patterns on the skin? What causes fingerprints? Well, that would be the ridge patterns of the skin. Blood is filtered by what part of the kidney? The nephron, the glomerulus, or the tubule? Blood is filtered by what part of the kidney? That would be the nephron. What is the primary function of the bladder? Filtration, or storage of urine, or production of urine? What is the primary function of the bladder? That would be the storage of urine. The fluid that aids movement in the lymphatic system is called oxygenation, water absorption, or immune response. That would be immune response. Not a multiple choice. What is the fluid that circulates in the lymphatic system called? Fluid that circulates in the lymphatic system. That is called lymph. Lymphatic system, sure. The section of the eye responsible for controlling the entry of light is it the retina, is it the cornea, or is it the iris? That which controls the entry of light is called the iris. What is the primary function of the cochlea in the ear? Is it for balance? Is it for hearing? Or is it for smell? The cochlea. That is responsible for hearing. What cells are responsible for engulfing and digesting bacteria and other foreign substances? Are those phagocytes? Are those T cells? Or are those B cells? Those are phagocytes. What is the body's normal temperature in degrees Celsius? 36.6 degrees, 38.0 degrees, or 40.0 degrees Celsius? The normal body temperature is 36.6 degrees Celsius. Which gland regulates metabolism and energy production? Is it the thyroid gland? Is it the pancreas? Or is it the pituitary gland? That would be the thyroid gland. On average, what age does a human brain reach full maturity? 18 years of age, 25 years of age, or 30 years of age? The human brain reaches full maturity at around 25 years of age. What is the common name for the degenerative joint disease that comes with aging? Is it rheumatism? Is it arthritis? Or is it osteoporosis? That would be arthritis. What does the acronym DNA stand for? Deoxyribonucleic acid, dynamic nucleic acid, or double nucleotide assembly? And that would be deoxyribonucleic acid. For the collarbone, scapula, clavicle, or humerus? That would be the clavicle. The function of the mucus in the nose is it lubrication, trapping dust and microbes, or oxygenation? Mucus in the nose, that's for trapping dust and microbes. Not a multiple choice. Which vitamin is synthesized by the skin when exposed to sunlight? Vitamin synthesized by skin when exposed to sunlight would be vitamin D. A human cell has how many pairs of chromosomes? 20, 23, or 26? How many pairs of chromosomes does our human cell have? 23 pairs. What is the term for a trait that is expressed only when an individual has 2 copies of the gene? Dominant, recessive, or codominant? Only when you have 2 copies of a recessive gene. What vessels are responsible for carrying blood away from the heart? Are those capillaries? Are those arteries? Or are those veins that carry blood away from the heart? Those would be arteries. Not a multiple choice. What is the name of the condition characterized by high blood pressure? Condition characterized by high blood pressure would be hypertension. What gas do humans primarily exhale during respiration? Do we exhale primarily oxygen, nitrogen, or carbon dioxide? Primarily, we exhale carbon dioxide. Which neurotransmitter is associated with feelings of pleasure and reward? Serotonin, dopamine, or acetylcholine? Choline. Acetylcholine. Whatever. It's dopamine. What is the main function of the cerebellum? Is it for memory storage, coordination and balance, or decision making? The cerebellum is primarily used for coordination and balance. Which bone protects the brain? The cranium, the mandible, or the clavicle? The bone that protects the brain. Well, that would be the cranium. What is the purpose of red bone marrow? Is it for energy storage, blood cell production, or calcium storage? The red bone marrow. That is used primarily for blood cell production. Not a multiple choice. Which muscle is responsible for breathing? The muscle responsible for breathing. That would be the diaphragm. Not a multiple choice. Which hormone is responsible for regulating sleep-wake cycles? That hormone for sleep-wake cycles, that would be melatonin. What is the medical term for a muscle cell? Is that a myocyte? Is that a neuron? Or is that a adipocyte? The medical term for a muscle cell is a myocyte. Which of the following options is a function of the adrenal gland? Regulating blood sugar, producing adrenaline, or controlling metabolism? The function of the adrenal gland. Producing adrenaline. What is fertilization? Is that the implementation of the embryo? Is it the union of sperm and egg? Or is it the development of the placenta? Fertilization, that's when the union of sperm and egg occurs. What is a role of the prostate gland in males? Is it for producing sperm? Is it for producing seminal fluid? Or is it for testosterone production? The prostate gland produces seminal fluid. The primary function of the sebaceous gland is temperature regulation, or producing oil or sebum, or producing sweat. The sebaceous gland is for producing oil or sebum. The layer of the skin that contains blood vessels and nerves is called the epidermis, the dermis, or the subcutaneous layer. And that would be the dermis. What is the main component of urine? Is it water, is it urea, or is it sodium? And the main component of urine would be water. Maintaining balance of the ear is the responsibility of which part? Is it the cochlea? Is it the vestibular system? Or is it the tympanic membrane? That would be the responsibility of the vestibular system. What is the primary function of tears? Absorption of dirt, cleaning and protecting the eyes, or digestion? Primary function of tears would be cleaning and protecting the eyes. What is the function of antibodies in the immune system? Phagocytosis, neutralizing pathogens, or blood clotting? The function of antibodies in the immune system would be neutralizing pathogens. Which cells are responsible for long-term immunity in the immune system? Would that be memory cells, helper T cells, or B cells? Long-term immunity would be memory cells. What is the purpose of shivering in response to cold temperatures? Improving blood circulation, generating heat, or increasing metabolism? The purpose of shivering would be for generating heat because it's cold. Calcium level regulation is the responsibility of what hormone? Would that be insulin, parathyroid hormone, or thyroid hormone? And that would be the parathyroid hormone. Not a multiple choice. What is osteoporosis? That would be the weakening of bones. What is the common name for the condition where the lens of the eye becomes cloudy? Is that called glaucoma? Is it a cataract? Or is it macular degeneration? That would be a cataract. What does the term MRI stand for in medical imaging? Medical Radiography Index, Magnetic Resonance Imaging, or Microscopic Radiologic Inspection? That would be magnetic resonance imaging. What is the medical term for the windpipe? Is that the esophagus? Is it the trachea? Or is it the bronchus? And that would be the trachea. The presence of synovial fluid in the joints is immune protection, shock absorption, or lubrication and nourishment. And that would be lubrication and nourishment. Which vitamin is essential for the absorption of calcium in the intestines? Is that vitamin C? Is that vitamin D? Or is that vitamin K? That would be vitamin D. What is the function of the gallbladder? Gallbladder. Digestion of proteins, storage and release of bile, or regulation of blood sugar. And the function of the gallbladder is the storage and release of bile. What is the primary purpose of mucus in the digestive system? Is it for lubrication? Is it for the protection of the stomach lining? Or is it for the digestion of carbohydrates? Mucus in the digestive system is for the protection of the stomach lining. Thirst and hunger are regulated by what part of the brain? The hypothalamus, the amygdala, or the hippocampus? And that regulation would be the responsibility of the hypothalamus. The human egg or sperm carries how many sex chromosomes? 1, 2, or 4? The human egg or sperm carries 1 sex chromosome. No multiple choice. What is the function of DNA in the human body? What does DNA do for you? Genetic information storage and transmission. Which component of blood is responsible for clotting? Red blood cells, platelets, or white blood cells? The component of blood responsible for clotting is the platelets. What is the medical term for a heart attack? Is it called a myocardial infarction, atherosclerosis, or is it angina? The medical term for a heart attack. That would be a myocardial infarction. What is the purpose of the epiglottis in the respiratory system? Is it for controlling airflow? Is it for preventing food from entering the windpipe? Or is it for oxygen exchange? The epiglottis prevents food from entering the windpipe. Which lung is larger, the left or the right? Is it the left? Is the right larger, or are they the same size? Which lung is larger? It's the right lung. The right lung is larger. What enzyme is produced in the stomach to aid in digestion? Is it amylase? Is it pepsin? Or is it lipase? The enzyme produced in the stomach to aid in ingestion. That would be pepsin. Which neurotransmitter is associated with mood regulation? Is it GABA? Is it serotonin? Or are they endorphins that that are associated with mood? That would be serotonin. What is the main function of the medulla oblongata in the brain? The coordination of movement, the regulation of involuntary functions such as breathing and heart rate, or memory storage. The main function of the medulla oblongata is regulation of involuntary functions such as breathing and heart rate. Which muscle is responsible for smiling? Orbicularis oculi, zygomaticus major, or masseter muscles? The muscle responsible for smiling is the zygomaticus major. What is the menstrual cycle? Ovulation process in males, monthly hormonal changes in females, or the pregnancy period? The menstrual cycle. It is the monthly hormonal changes in females. Melanin in the skin performs what function? Regulating temperature, protecting against UV radiation, or producing sweat? Melanin is for protection against UV radiation. What is the primary function of the urethra? The filtration of blood, the transportation of urine out of the body, or the storage of urine? The primary function of the urethra. Transportation of urine out of the body. The eye's cornea serves what purpose? Color vision, refracting light, or producing tears? Eye's cornea. That is for refracting light. What is the purpose of sweating in response to high temperatures? Cooling the body, reducing metabolic rate, or increasing blood flow? The purpose of sweating is to cool the body. What is the function of the thymus gland in the immune system? Maturation of T cells, producing hormones for metabolism, or filtering blood? The thymus gland is for maturation of T cells. What is the medical term for a brain freeze caused by consuming something cold quickly? Cephalgia, stenopalatine ganglioneuralgia, or a migraine? That would be stenopalatine ganglioneuralgia. Cilia performs what function in the respiratory system? Smelling, trapping dust and particles, or producing mucus? Cilia. Well, that is for trapping dust and particles. What is the purpose of the meninges in the human brain? Providing nutrients to the brain, protecting the brain, or transmitting electrical signals? And that is for protecting the brain. One essential mineral in the formation of red blood cells is magnesium, iron, or is it calcium? The essential mineral in the formation of red blood cells. That would be iron. What is the name of the condition where the immune system attacks the body's own cells? Is that an allergy? Is that an autoimmune disease? Or is that an infection? And that would be an autoimmune disease. What is the primary function of the amygdala in the brain? Is it for memory storage? Is it for emotional responses, particularly fear? Or is it motor coordination? The primary function of the amygdala is emotional responses, particularly fear. What is the primary function of the adenoids in the respiratory system? Filtering air, immune function, or producing mucus? Primary function of adenoids is immune function. Which part of the brain is responsible for higher cognitive functions, such as reasoning and problem solving? Would that be the frontal lobe? Would that be the occipital lobe? Or would that be the temporal lobe? And that would be the frontal lobe. What is the function of the eustachian tube in the ear? Is it for balancing? Is it for equalizing pressure? Or is it for hearing? the eustachian tube. Well, that is for equalizing pressure. What is the condition where the body's immune system responds excessively to an allergen? Is that anemia? Is that asthma? Or is that an allergy? And that would be an allergy. The largest internal organ in the human body is called, is it the heart? Is it the liver? Or is it the kidney? The largest internal organ. And that would be the liver. What is the average resting heart rate for adults? 60 to 100 beats per minute, 120 to 160 beats per minute, or 20 to 60 beats per minute? The average resting heart rate. And that would be 60 to 100 beats per minute. What is the smallest bone in the human body? The phalanges of the finger and toes, the stapes in the ear, or the patella, the kneecap? The smallest bones in the human body are the stapes in the ear. Which antibody is most commonly found in bodily secretions like saliva and tears? IgA, IgG, or IgM? And that would be IgA. Where does most nutrient absorption occur in the digestive system? In the stomach, in the large intestine, or the small intestine? Most nutrient absorption occurs in the small intestine. And question 100. Which organ is considered a primary lymphoid organ? The spleen, the thymus, or the tonsils? Primary lymphoid organ? That would be the thymus. And that's all I've got for you right now. Thanks for playing. Drop your score in the comments, please. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. This has been Quiz Time. Thanks for playing. We'll catch you next time.